it's Nick here again with Nick's 80's hard rock CD collection. Hope everyone's well. So far we've looked at Faster Pussycat, Bon Jovi, Poison, Def Leppard, LA Guns, Guns N' Roses, Cinderella, and Europe. Now this band we're looking at is a band that came from California, and they were big. They were big in their time. And the band I'm going to feature today is Warrant. Now, as I mentioned in the Poison video that I did, Warrant was a band you could either love or hate. Now, they received a lot of criticism that they were more concerned with their image than their music, and they did cop a lot of abuse, you could say, by critics who more or less panned them as more concerned about their image and everything. But I think Warrant had the last laugh because they did very, very well. So anyway, let's get things started. Warrant started off in 1984. Now they obviously played gigs around Los Angeles and everywhere, and it wasn't until 1989, so it was 1989 they first got signed to a record label. And this record, their first album it's called Dirty, Rotten, Filthy, Stinking Rich. As I said, this was released in 1989, and so you could say that the Warrant were coming in sort of very late, in regards to the hard rock glam hairband decade. They came in late, 1989, but that didn't matter because they did so well. This album, it went multi-platinum, and it was an immediate success. There's a picture of the band there. I'll just introduce them. On the far left is Joey Allen, guitarist. Next to him is Steve Sweet, the drummer. Sitting down there is Janie Lane, lead singer. Up there is Jerry Dixon, the bass player, and there is Eric Turner, guitarist as well. Yeah, so this was released in 1989, and it had immediate success. One particular song called Heaven, which is a ballad, reached number 2 on the American Billboard charts. They had other big songs, singles like Sometimes She Cries, Big Talk, Down Boys. And they did really well out of it. And it's just a fun, as I've said in other previous albums, it's just a fun album. It's just fun. You don't take it too seriously. Well, you can't really. It's just a good chilled out, a good fun album. Puts a smile on your face. It's got the hard rocking songs, the party anthems, and big guitars and big drums, all that. So there we go. And so that was 1989. Now, exactly a year after, they released this, which was a monster of an album, Cherry Pie. Now, you probably remember the song. If you don't, you can look it up on YouTube and you'll soon be reminded about it. The song Cherry Pie, which was, this album just made them into superstars. And now it had obviously a few hit singles: Cherry Pie, Uncle Tom's Cabin. Now this album was originally going to be called Uncle Tom's Cabin, but the record label said no, we don't want that, and so they had to settle on the album Cherry Pie. Now I was reading an interview with Janie Lane, the lead singer, and he said that he actually wrote the song Cherry Pie in literally half an hour. He wrote the song, and obviously the song became just a major international, worldwide success. But it got to the point where he began to hate that song, Cherry Pie, because all everyone was doing was just saying that Warrant was the Cherry Pie band. They were actually comparing them, saying they were the Cherry Pie band. So the band was typecasted, to the song Cherry Pie, which Janie Lane was pretty furious about, actually, because he said there was so much depth and variety to Warrant than just that song. So yeah, Janie actually began to hate the song that made him pretty much a superstar. But so Cherry Pie, Uncle Tom's Cabin, I Saw Red. That was another hit single. That was a ballad. They all were a huge success to this album, and that Warrant, they toured with the likes of Poison, Motley Crue, LA Guns. They toured with Poison a few times, and as in regards to this album, as the previous album, it's just a fun album. It's just a fun, light-hearted album. You can't go wrong if that's all you're looking for. So that was Cherry Pie, and I should have mentioned that the Warrant have sold over 10 million albums worldwide. So they've done very well for themselves, and a lot of critics, as I said, wrote this band off. They thought they were a joke, but Warrant had the last laugh, really, because all the success they had. So that was Cherry Pie, released in 1990. Now we move on to the next album, and this album has been regarded as Warrant's best work, and a lot of critics changed their tune in regards to this album and said this is, their best work, and it is. It shows a tougher, far more mature Warrant, and even a heavier sound. There's a picture of the band there. It's still the same band lineup. And now this album didn't do as well as the previous two albums, but it did achieve gold status. Here's some close-ups of the band, actually. There's Janie Lane, the lead singer. Joey Allen, guitarist. Steve Sweet, drummer. Eric Turner, guitarist. And Jerry Dixon, bass player. Yeah, so this album received gold status, album sales, and yeah, it's a really great album, and congratulations and hats off to Warrant for making a really mature album, and they proved a lot of people wrong that they were capable. And also, in regards to Janie Lane, the lead singer, he was often just regarded as a pretty boy lead singer, but he was a very talented musician. He self-taught himself, obviously singing, but guitar, he could play the guitar, he could play the drums, he could play the keyboards, and he self-taught himself those instruments. So, hats off to Janie Lane for being a great musician when a lot of people disregarded him. So yeah, that's Warrant, Dog Eat Dog. Now the only real hit single for this album was called Machine Gun. Well, they had another one called The Hole in My Wall. But this was released in 1992, so grunge, Nirvana, all that was coming through. So it didn't do as well as the previous albums. So, but I strongly recommend this album, as well as the previous albums. But this shows a really mature, different direction. It's heavier, and great songwriting. Now we move on to their next album, which was called Ultraphobic. Now, this was released in 1995. Now, this is a real different direction. This is actually, it does have a lot of the grunge influence. As soon as you put this on, you can hear the influence of the grunge music that was big at this time. And it actually takes a few listens to really get into it. It's a big departure from the party songs of the previous first two albums. It's very it's serious. It's a serious album, and there we go. And the only real single was called "Family Picnic" off this album. And now this album did not sell multi-platinum albums or gold records for that matter. It didn't really do much, but it showed Warrant sticking to their guns and being a more mature band. There's a photo of the band there. Now, the two previous band members, Joey Allen and on guitar and Stephen Sweet on the drums, they had left the band by this stage. We had that guy there, James, I forget his surname, he was on the drums, and this guy here, Rick Stein, he was a guitarist. So there we go. But a very good album, a very mature album, and as I said, it takes a bit to get into. You got to persevere with it. Now after this, Warrant, they did release other albums. I don't have them. Janie Lane, the lead singer, as I said, him there, he was in and out of the band. He was concentrating on a solo career, but he was also having problems with substance abuse, and that was frustrating the rest of the band. Now, as I said, they did release other albums, but they didn't really do much. Now, on a more somber, sad note, Janie Lane, there, he passed away in 2011. He was found in a hotel room. So a very sad day. We lost a great musician, and a lot of people didn't give him the appreciation that he deserved. He was very talented, and he had a lot of personal demons, and with failed relationships and all that. And I was very shocked when I heard the news. So rest in peace, Janie. You left behind a great legacy with Warrant. Now they've obviously got another lead singer. I think the lead singer, I forget his name, but he was in a hard rock band called Black and Blue. Now, I don't have any Black and Blue albums, but I forget his name. But Warrant are still going today, and they got the original lineup, those four guys, back again. So they're still going today. They're still rocking. They're putting out albums. As I said, Janie Lane is no longer with us, but Warrant were, as I said, a lot of people laughed at them and thought they were nothing. They're just a band like Poison. That they were just a wannabe Poison band. But they did have substance, and that showed in their later albums, especially Dog Eat Dog and Ultraphobic, and it showed a real maturity, and that's a big applause and congratulations to them for branching out and trying to break the typecast, break the mold that they were put into, especially with this album. But if you're looking for good, fun, rocking, songs, you can't go past Warrant. They definitely took the world by storm, especially with his second album. And as I said, over 10 million albums sold. You can't go wrong. So that's Warrant. Yeah, great band. Now the next album I'll do a band called Danger. They were sort of similar to Warrant, actually. So yeah, Danger will be the next one. As I say again, thank you very much for watching. I love doing this. Love showcasing my CDs. Hope everyone's well. Hope everyone's safe. Look after yourselves. Look after each other. And as Warrant do, keep on rocking, everyone. Bye bye.